I think the biggest issue is that we have started to raise girls differently while we have failed to start raising boys differently. And what I mean by that is a great example was I had two friends, they were married, and their daughter came in and she was upset because their older brother would not let her do something because he said she couldn't do it because she's a girl. The older brother follows her in, of course, and the two parents proceed to tell her she can do anything a boy can and that it's fine that she can do that and tell the older brother to leave her alone and let her do what she wants. And the little girl leaves the room happy as a clam. And then after she leaves, they tell the son that he needs to make exceptions for her because she's a girl. Two very different messages. And yet I've heard similar messages from other friends to their kids. I only had boys. I basically told my boys, if you screw over a woman because you don't have the balls to act like a man and act like an adult and tell a woman what you really genuinely are feeling and thinking, I know it's hard, but you have to do it. You have to be honest with people. Then expect a woman to kick your ass to the curb, period. Of course, I was raised differently than most Gen X women were raised. I think I was kind of raised even more progressively compared to a lot of millennials that I know. The fact of the matter is that women were property wholeheartedly until 1973 in the United States of America. You could not have your own bank account in over half the states in the country. You were not afforded the same rights as a federal citizen, period. And divorce became very prevalent in the 70s for the boomers. But prior to that, that was unspeakable and unthinkable. And trust me, I know, because my grandmother tried to divorce my grandfather, and basically the judge laughed her out of the room. No one was going to hire a teacher that was divorced. And she could get divorced, but she wasn't going to have any way to support her kids, which meant the court would take them away from her since my grandfather didn't want their children. You know, if he was going to get divorced, he was going to have a whole new life. And that was most silent generations' experience. In fact, what really disturbs me the most is when I've asked a lot of different boomer women their opinion on something, they have responded. I explained to them that 3 out of 4 Gen X women were raped, not sexually assaulted, raped, full-on insertion rape. 3 out of 4 Generation X women. So my hypothesis was that boomer women, it's got to be more like 90, 95%. Silent generation might be 100. And you want to know what was most disturbing is every boomer woman I've ever said that to says they could see it. They could see it. So as the sexual revolution started, men assumed that meant that women were property that they could just do whatever they wanted with. And we're talking 1960s and 1970s for the boomers coming of age. Maybe late 50s, but the mass majority of them came of age, became adults in the early 60s to mid 70s. It was shocking to me that that would be the response from every boomer woman I've talked to. Does it shock you if you're men? Because 2/3 of my viewers are men. The problem then is that young men are being raised, that women are still lesser and property and whatever. And you can hear it even in our music, that Gen X music, when you listen to women, we're talking about men that are cheating on us and we're going to follow them around anyway, and we're heartbroken and we're still trying to figure out how to make it work, from Diana Ross's Upside Down when I was like just a kid, all the way through, you know, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Madonna, you name it. It's all about kind of being heartbroken all the time. I mean, Madonna's anthem, Material Girl, we still kind of see that as Marilyn Monroe knockoff. And we all know what happened to Marilyn Monroe. As we have told girls not to put up with crap, especially men telling their daughters, don't let a man disrespect you. Don't let a man treat you unfairly. You're equal to a man. You want to know what the end result is, darlings? Me. My grandfather told me I was equal to a man. Drilled it into me. Yes, the same grandfather that was going to leave my grandmother and his own children destitute. Yes. He told me I was equal to a boy. Do anything a boy could. And in fact, he told me I was smarter than most boys. And I didn't need to put up with any man's crap. And I don't. I'm equal. If you cannot speak to me at an equal level, I will let you know that I don't appreciate it. I will be honest. In my 20s, 30s, and even in my early 40s, I let people walk all over me, especially men. I have oodles and noodles of stories where I got crushed because we aren't raising men to respect women, to believe that they're equal. We're still teaching the boys, you got to make exception for her. She's a girl. And that's why you got a bunch of angry 20-something little boys running around acting like, oh, I'm going to squish her like a bug. She needs to listen to me. She needs to do what I say. And meanwhile, the girls' songs, have you listened to some of these songs? These girls are like, I don't need you. You will respect me or else. You're not going to treat me that way. I'm not chasing you around. I got other plans in my life. Keep up. That's the songs that most of these girls are singing. And they definitely, absolutely are being resonated to the next generation behind Z. And Z is more like I am as far as how they see themselves. They see themselves as equal. They expect the respect that they're due as a human being. But we're still raising the boys. Wink, wink. And again, if you need the proof that we're still raising the boys like that, that CEO asshole Andy, he got to resign, which means he got his severance package. Oh yeah. I guarantee you he walked away with his severance package. He's not worried about a paycheck for at least 3 months to a year. Meanwhile, they actually fired that HR head. See, when they use those terms like resign, fancy words like that, that means you walked away with some kind of severance. Duh. So if we continue to raise boys like this, where you need to make an exception for her, you're going to have an entire generation of women like me that aren't going to put up with any crap at all, and men will become obsolete. You guys are worried about being replaced? You're teaching these 20-something boys and these teenage boys and these little boys that girls aren't equal? I want you to consider the fact that a woman has a natural advantage in wrestling. Lower center of gravity. All things equal, a woman can wrestle a man to the ground faster than a man can if they are trained properly. Women don't need you anymore. And the fact that you want them to be afraid of your sons and your grandsons and your great-grandsons is creating a bigger issue than you think. It's time to grow up, gentlemen. And some of you ladies that watch me, girls should not be sexually assaulted. They shouldn't be afraid of men. They shouldn't be afraid of the boys they grew up with. And if you don't teach those boys to respect them, most of them are going to be like me, where they're going to be like, I'm done. I don't need you. I don't need you. And eventually, yes, men will be obsolete. That's not the way it's supposed to work. Next time, I'll probably talk about the emotional drain on men but I want you to think about how raising men to look down their noses at women is going to blow up in all of our faces. Think about it. Peace.